All right. Okay, so welcome everybody in this beautiful, blessed Sunday morning where we have this beautiful sun reminding us that we are always taking care of our beloved Jesus. Let me, there you go. So we are part of the United States Spiritist Federation. We respect all religions and all the spiritual traditions. And even before I start doing some announcements, I would like to ask our beloved friend Charles to do our opening prayer for today.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to our meeting today. Divine Light, Divine Creator. Once again, we are here gathered so we can hear some of the teachings that has been passed on to us through our bigger brother, Jesus the Christ. We thank you for this opportunity to be here presently virtually. And also we are thankful for every single one that was not able to be here but are connected to each one of us in our network of spiritual bonds. And we appreciate the participation and assistance of our beloved mentors and spiritual guides. They are here present. I wish that everyone can feel the energy that is now being poured through us, that is enveloping our entire body. And this energy is permuted and transferred to every single one that we are connected with, our family members and our beloved friends, colleagues, and acquaintances, especially our neighbors. In your name, of Father, we thank you. So be it. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask for your indulgence of allowing me to read something that just came to me this morning, and I think it's very fitting for this moment. It is in reference to the last chapter of the book, Jesus in the Home, that has been brought to us by this in-person experience of Neo Lucio that brings to us Jesus' last prayer before he went to his mission in the cross. So Jesus talking to his family, to us, after a moment's silence, declared, Father, kindle your divine light around all those who have neglected your blessings in the darkness of the earthly journey. Help those who have forgotten to share the leftover bread on their full tables. Help those who are ashamed to flaunt the happiness in the face of poverty and misfortune. Help those who forget to thank their benefactors. Take pity on those who sleep in the nightmares of vice, bequeathing a dolorous inheritance to those who are embarking upon the human journey. Uplift those who have forgotten the duty to serve their neighbor. Take pity on the wise that hide the intelligence within the four walls of the domestic paradise. Awaken those who dream of controlling the world, not realizing that compared with eternity, their life in the flesh is merely 1 minute between the cradle and the grave. Uplift those who have fallen, defeat by the excess of material comfort. Correct those who spread sadness and pessimism amongst their fellow beings. Forgive those who have turned down the opportunity for peace and who go through life disseminating rebelliousness and disorder. Intervene on behalf of all those who believe that they possess fantastic power and insanity, deem themselves to be judges, condemning and their very own brothers and sisters. Awaken the troubled souls who poison the path of others with the spiritual aggression of ultimately acts. Extend your paternal hands to all those who have forgotten about the sentence of death, the renewer of life, which your law has engraved on the precarious body. Enlightening those who have lost themselves in the darkness of hatred and revenge, of wayward ambition and cold cruelty, and who believe they are powerful and free, when they are nothing more than slaves worthy of compassion before your sublime will. All of them, Father, are wrongdoers who elude the courts of earth, but who are singled out by your sovereign and perfect justice for crimes for forgetfulness before the infinite good. I thank you for your patience, and this helps us to reflect on what's going on in the world today, around us, in our communities, in our society, throughout the other countries. So with this energy, with this vibration, let's send them some vibrations of good and positive. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Charles. That was beautiful. Beautiful prayer. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So once more, thank you everybody for being here. As I mentioned, we are part of the United States Spiritist Federation. So our beliefs here are around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of the Spiritism. And we study the books from Allan Kardec, who more than 100 years ago codified the Spiritism for all of us to understand and keep learning. And speaking of learning, Emmanuel, the spiritual mentor, taught us that knowledge and love are the two wings necessary for our spiritual evolution. So you will see that this service is split into two parts. The first one, we will have someone speaking to us, and I'll introduce her just in a moment. And the second part, we will have a hands-on healing where we are all going to keep receiving the vibrations coming from our mentors. In the first part, I mean, both of parts, your participation is important, but during the speaking, it's also very, very important that you actively listen to the speaker, because during this time, your mentor will be working with you for you to have the insights, the downloads that are going to be important for you to reflect along the week and then work in your own progress. So I always encourage you to have some piece of paper and something for you to take notes, so then you can always go back to that. In terms of our service, we would like to invite all of you for our daily prayer. So from Monday to Friday, we at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we all get together for us to send vibrations to the planet Earth and support everybody into this journey of transformation. And I just would like to remind us that St. Francis of Assisi gives us a good hint that it is in giving that we receive. So everybody is welcome to join us. You will use the same link for you to pray with us. It usually takes 15 minutes, 30 minutes at most, unless we do want to keep talking to each other, but it's totally optional. Only on Saturdays, this time is different. So from Monday to Friday, it's 6 p.m. Pacific time. And on Saturdays, 11:30 a.m. On Sundays, hopefully we are all here together. We also have fraternal counseling every Wednesday. It's by appointment only. You will talk with one of the mediums with open heart. Don't forget to schedule your time slot from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., also Pacific time as well. And it's just a moment for you to talk, for you to share. And even if you prefer to stay in silence, we will be happy to pray with you to get some strength. Classes, they always started on March. Some of them are already finishing, unfortunately, but we will have news soon. But we still have inner transformation. So Emmanuel, in the book Thought and Life, told us that evolution demands that we develop new habits, that we detach ourselves from lower forms and walk towards higher stages of existence. And we all know that detaching old habits is not an easy task. So we invite everybody to join Hearts and Forces so then we can understand the tricks that the high spirituality gives us so then we can all succeed in this journey. This class is offering in collaboration with Divine Light from our beloved sister Sunshine, and it's taking place every first and third Tuesday of each month from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. I will put the link on our chat here. Everybody's welcome to join us. We are also studying the Spirits book, which is an amazing series with more than 1,000 questions that Allan Kardec coordinated with a lot of mediums for us to understand and to unveil the spiritual world. So again, everybody's welcome to join us. We are already far in advance, but it's not lost because questions not necessarily relate to each other. So everybody's welcome to join us every Thursday. So this one is every week, every Thursday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. with our sister Duska, available through this link on Zoom, and I will also put on our chat. Just wanted to remind that last Friday we had the last class from Mark, Music for Our Spiritist Soul. It was an amazing journey, a beautiful time that we spent together understanding how music can help us to elevate our vibration. So soon we will have more information about what is going to replace this class. We also have Introduction to Spiritism. Again, Spiritism uncovers the path for the individual and collective progress. So even if you are an advanced student, this meeting is about not only about giving, but also receiving. So please join us every first and third Saturday of each month from 9 a.m. Pacific time with our brother, Robbie Brown. And we also have Spiritism for the Youth, which helps us to bring a very special way to bring Jesus's message to our children. So this is a beautiful way for us to support our next generation in this path. So everybody's welcome to join us every second and fourth Sunday of each month from 8:30 to 9:30, right before this service here. I also would like to remind everybody that on June 5th and June 6th, there will be the 15th Spiritism Symposium that is organized through the United States Spiritist Federation. This year, the theme is mediums and mediumship, and this is going to be a celebration of the 160th anniversary of the Mediums book, an amazing book that helps us to understand how we communicate with the spirits. The event's going to be all online through YouTube and the Facebook of the United States Spiritist Federation. And it will be from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. from the Eastern time. So I will post all this information in the link. Everybody's welcome to join. And even if you can join, you can even watch it a little bit later. So Sunshine, are you here, my dear? Yeah, she's. So let me introduce our speaker today, which is someone that lives in everybody's heart, our dearest sister, Sunshine. Today she will be talking about controlling minds, which is very, very interesting. And for those who still don't know this amazing sister, Sunshine has been a seeker all of her life, which culminated in her finding her spiritual home through Spiritism 15 years ago. She is a founding member of the Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center in Perry, California, and the founder of Divine Light Spiritist Center in Nevada City, California, which is the center that has a lot of partnership with BSH, so everybody's welcome to see her. Yeah, so Sunshine, thank you for being here, my sister. God bless you in this in this speech, and the stage is yours. You are on mute, my dear.
I know. I was just saying, I am on mute. Thank you so much, Kiki. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to do a little screen sharing for the PowerPoint. So today's subject, yes, is controlling minds. And as you may realize, the title, you see, play from start. Can you guys see it in the right mode? Yeah? Okay. The title is twofold because it can mean and does mean controlling minds, meaning we are controlled by minds, other minds, or we are the controlling minds, right? And of course, we're both. Both things happen continuously and simultaneously. So how does that work? So when we go to, and so I want to say this talk, I believe, is super important, and we all know about it. Nothing we're going to say today is new, but it's something that I think while we know it, I'm not sure whether we really pay attention to it continuously, because it's something that happens with every thought, and I don't know how many millions of thoughts we have per day, but it's really something for us to learn to become more conscious and aware of. So that's why I was inspired. Spirits asked me to do this essentially. So first of all, when we go to the Spirits book, chapter 9, we learn that the spirits have a huge impact on the corporeal world. And right now we're speaking about discarnated spirits, but all of this always happens in two realms. It's not only discarnate spirits who have an impact on us, obviously. So the concealed influence of spirits, and right there in the word, we see it's concealed, and that's why it's so important for us, because it's hidden. It's in our blind spot. We don't even know where our thoughts come from, probably most of the time, if not always. So this is hopefully shedding a little bit more light on it again. So when we look at the questions 459, 460, 462, 464, 469, and 466, it would be a good idea to look at those again, but we're summarizing here real quick, just to know what it's all about. We learned that the spirit's influence on our thoughts is greater than expected, and greater than expected, and they frequently guide us. So right there in the first sentence, and these are quotations from these questions. These are pretty much quotations from the answers to these questions that I listed above. So the influence is greater than expected, and it's concealed. Our thoughts are a combination of many spirits. And in order to realize that and to admit to that, we need to practice some humility. We cannot always distinguish between the origin of our thoughts. We don't, right? So if we pause and give that a thought for just a few seconds, it is true. Do we really know where the thoughts that each and every one of you is thinking right now, maybe a judgment, maybe something else, maybe a shopping list, maybe something totally different. Where is it coming from, right? If the thought is useful, it comes from on high. So here the spirits instantly give us a direction. What does useful mean? Useful for my financial gain? Probably not so much. Then we know what the origin of that thought is right there, but we're going to go into this a little bit later, more in detail. But useful, they mean in this sense, primarily useful from on high, useful for more than just myself. So if the thought is for the common good, it's useful and helpful and supportive for more than just myself. We know it's coming from a higher source. But if the thought just fulfills my own selfish desires and wants, right there, hopefully we're pausing, we're learning to pause and say, wait a minute, who is talking to me? Where is the attachment coming from? And of course, it's coming from us. And we're going to go deeper into that. So, guide point, useful. Imperfect spirit impart wrongful thoughts to us as misery loves company. That's really the reason why they're doing it. They're in pain. And they want us to be in pain. And of course, we are never the victims because we are co-creators, right? We open the doors. It's in our own control. Who is talking through us? They test, these spirits test our faith and dedication to the good. So even if here we are, we're coming to the meetings, we're practicing the good, we're doing our nightly review, we have the golden rule as our baseline, and all of a sudden we don't feel like it anymore, right? All of a sudden we're too busy or too tired or too something else, and we stay away. So right there, they're testing our faith and dedication to the good. And again, important to say, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Why am I all of a sudden too busy or too tired or whatever it is? Question 472, the answer goes, spirits who want to incite us to wrongdoing may take advantage of a circumstance, but frequently cause it even, pushing us without us being aware of it towards it, whatever it is, doesn't matter right now, whatever is happening in our lives. So spirits who want to incite us to wrongdoing, they're taking advantage of our, maybe just a crack open door or window, maybe it's wide open. And they actually even frequently cause certain circumstances. Again, we're not the victims though. Oh, these evil spirits, no, we allow it. And how, we're going to find out in a minute. Just so this is like the precursor, this page. And please always, I didn't want to say interrupt, but intercept. And, just speak up, ask questions or other ideas that come in, because that's very important. I'm just, giving some ideas. So in Thought and Life, in the chapter Suggestion, Emmanuel dedicates a whole chapter to suggestion, which is really what we're talking about, other minds suggesting to us. He says, suggestion is an everyday event in the life of human beings and is a permanent activity of mental reflection. Everyday and permanent. This is how huge this is. And I think most of us still live our lives thinking this is all coming from me. So it's an everyday event. And he says suggestion, these are quotations, so this is not coming from me. Suggestion is a stimulus, an inductor that triggers events. We know that thought is life. The thought comes in, the emotion comes in, gets triggered because somehow it's alive in us. That's where inner transformation comes in, so we can clean our vessel, purify ourselves, right? And it's like a little Velcro. It comes in, gets stuck, and here it is. Next thing we're saying something that's not aligned with God's will. Next thing we're doing something or not doing something. Sometimes it's in not doing something that we're doing the wrong or making ourselves guilty. So it's an everyday event and permanent. It's nonstop all the time. So furthermore, in chapter 9 of Thought and Life, Emmanuel says, it's entitled Suggestion. This is a quotation. He says, magic has been diligently used to control occult forces. It is mainly the instrument of religious ceremonies on earth and consists of a combination of powerful mental forces of incarnate and discarnate beings who achieve the kind of feats that impress ordinary minds. So here he's hinting to us, he's making clear that suggestion happens in churches, in spiritual meetings. They control occult forces. So, we come to a spiritist center, we go to the church and we think, oh, it's all goodness on light. And it's all sweet and wonderful and everything is from God. Well, not quite. So even here, we need to be vigilant. We need to be on the alert because the spirits that attach themselves to us are only as good as we are, and it doesn't matter whether we're the president of an organization or not. All the ranks, it just gives us more responsibility. That's really what it is. So magic has been diligently used to control occult forces. So it's another thing to be aware of. And of course, it's not just in religions. Not only occult forces are being controlled, it's everywhere. Doesn't matter whether it's politics, whether it's medicine, whether it's churches, religion. It doesn't matter whether it's universities, whether it's the monetary system. It doesn't matter. It happens everywhere, all the time, continuously. So here are some examples of suggestion Emmanuel gives us. He says, as far as the occult forces, the churches and spiritual groups are concerned, it lies in the sacred images that trigger high cortical centers. And this is a positive now, right? So this is now on the positive, because it's always both. So on the positive side, the sacred images, they trigger high cortical centers. Certain prayers, like the Lord's Prayer, create certain mental triggers and feelings. That's why we pray the Lord's Prayer. Nature, right? When we go to nature, we're being influenced, we're being suggested to, but it's good because it's not only negative, obviously, right? Art, music, right? So in the book by Leon Denis, Spiritism in the Arts, right at the beginning, he says that, you know, beauty and the arts, they go hand in hand with it, is really our striving for God. Through the arts, we get closer to art, to God. Through music, we get closer to God, because it's beauty, and God is beauty. And God created this universe primarily with beauty in mind. So these are the suggestions that help us elevate ourselves, that Emmanuel mentions. And then he says, but we can also see it in depressing situations, using barbaric rites and thereby attracting low psychic energies, leading to licentiousness and rebellion. Same chapter. So first it's the positive, then it's the negative. But in both sides is always the positive and negative can happen, so-called positive and negative. So I want to give you an example. These depressing situations where the spirits inside barbaric rites and create low psychic energies. About a year and a half ago, there was a wave running through, and two of my friends, one of them you actually know yourself, fell prey to a computer company. One was Apple, the other one I think was Microsoft or something like that. They called them and incited them to spend hundreds of dollars. One friend of mine, $1,500 on gift cards, because apparently the system, it was Apple who's calling, and the system wasn't working, and they needed to check and see whether the system is working. This is a super intelligent friend of mine. I couldn't believe it. And this other person that we all know too. They actually went to the store with these people on the phone, and then the gift card didn't work when they wrote it over to the people who called. And then the next gift card didn't work, and the next one. In the end, they lost all this money until they woke up. I'm telling you, this is real mind control. There's vibrations that they send out, and there's whole books and papers and research done on this. We can be lulled to sleep. And we are. And this is actually my own life. I mean, that was mind-boggling. It's, you know, when we're not under the influence, we can't believe it. But the way this friend was describing it to me, it made sense in the moment. Well, and here's others, fears, wars, right? I mean, it's like coming through our TV, it's coming through the news, it's coming from everywhere, you know, these depressing situations. And they all have an impact on us. And they attach, spirits come through this, they attach themselves depending on our vibration. So here's something that Alan Watts, and it's not Watt, but it's Alan Watts said, which I find interesting. He was born in 1915 approximately, and he was a writer and an artist, and he was actually popularizing Buddhism, Sikhism, and other religions. So he's a pretty famous character. And he said, and this is like long, it's like almost 100 years ago, right? He said, predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are then put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as natural progressions, thus lessening possible public resistance and commotion. I know from what I've read and what I've experienced through my family, what I heard. They're all Germans, and my parents were children during the Second World War. My grandparents were adults during Second World War. How that worked, how the preparation was just going on for 10, 15 years prior. And in the moment then when the Jews were deported and nobody said anything and everybody looked in the other way because everyone was fearful. And it was just, everyone was so numbed out by what was going on. Nobody did anything. And to me, that's a prime example of a whole nation being obsessed, pretty much obsessed, by evil spirits. And it came from all sides, and the media played a huge role in that. It was pure propaganda. Brainwashing, literally brainwashing the Germans, and I'm not making excuses for them. Okay, so I'm just pointing it out, and we think it's back then, and of course I'm different, but are we really? Are we really aware of what we're digesting on that level? So then, when we go back to Emmanuel, we wonder what types of suggestions are happening in our lives. And who are we connecting or associating ourselves with? And that is on the receiving end, and it's on what do we send out. It's always on both. And this is something we don't have time to go deeper now, but these two questions, they're just supposed to hopefully help us to maybe spend some time, in our lives to reflect on them, to meditate on them, to see, what suggestions are coming into my home through my thinking, through, TV, through movies, through papers, through the internet, through Facebook, through Instagram, whatever it may be, positive or negative, just to be aware of what am I letting in? Because everything that comes in doesn't come in alone. It comes in thropes of spirits on both realms, incarnate and discarnate. And then what am I emanating? What am I emanating? Am I fearful, thinking, oh, I'm so scared of cancer. I'm so scared of cancer. And then who am I attracting? It's just an example. So that's an invitation. So now let us understand how this all works. So when we go to Genesis chapter 14, the fluids is a fantastic chapter, really explaining the whole, from the first page to the last page, the whole mechanism of how are we attracting what we are attracting, and how are we sending out emanations and influencing others, because we also have to think about every thought of ours influences another. So there's a responsibility that lies there, right? It's one thing that we let it in, but then also what are we sending out? So how do we attract other minds? And the answer Alan Kardec gives us says fluids are combined due to the similarity of their natures. Dissimilar fluids repel one another. And that is really a natural law. It's like oil and water just don't mix. So if I'm a high-level spirit and I'm vibrating on love and forgiveness, I'm not going to attract murderous thoughts. It's just not, because oil and water is just, it repels it. It doesn't even come close to it. And why fluids? Because we're fluidic beings. Even though we seem dense, even this is fluid. It's much denser than our perispirit, which is even more fluid. Our soul, even more so. So we are these three main parts, the soul, and that's encapsulated by the perispirit, and then the physical form. But it's all fluid, everything in the universe. And that's why Alan Kardec calls it fluids. There's other words, but he calls it fluids. So fluids are combined to the similarity of their natures, like magnets, boom. If I'm thinking fear, 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 okay, now all of a sudden fear is coming into my space from all realms, from both realms, and supports that feeling. So, okay, so that's the base that's behind it. Then when we go to the gospel, GAS, gas is gospel according to Spiritism. I just always shorten it because it's easier to type. When we go to chapter 12, item 3, Alan Kardec further helps us to understand how we're attracting other minds in both realms. He talks about the physical law of assimilation and repulsion of fluids. And what does he say? A malevolent thought emits a fluid current whose impression is painful. So when I switch on the TV and the news is just giving me horrific information, there's a war in the Middle East, I mean, in Israel, there's people dying in India and maybe also Brazil. I hear less about Brazil than, on the mainstream media than on India right now. It's depressing images. How do I feel? What am I inviting in? All of a sudden, I feel one notch down, right? Maybe I'm getting fearful. Maybe I'm getting frustrated, but it has an impact on me. And so here it is, a malevolent thought emits a fluidic current whose impression is painful. All of a sudden, I'm feeling pain. A benevolent thought envelops you in a pleasant emanation. So when we meet here and we talk and we pray and we get healings and we have beautiful music, we feel good, right? We feel strengthened. Hence, he says, the difference in sensations one experiences when close to a friend or an enemy. Love your enemies, he says in that chapter. Can we really love an enemy? No, we can't love an enemy the way we love like a friend. Why? Because of exactly that. Oil and water don't attract each other. But, and then he explains how we can love a friend. Of course we can do good towards them, not slander them, so that's when we go into chapter 12, which we don't want to go into right now. But it's not the same. Loving our enemies is, because of the fluidic natural law that's behind it, very different from loving a friend, because the emanations are different. Is that, you guys, are you with me still? Okay. So then when we go back to chapter 9 in the Spirits book, the concealed influence of spirits on our thoughts, that's how we started, concealed. Question 467, can people avoid the influence of spirits who incite them to wrongdoing? Because now we're wondering, okay, Sunshine, you tell us, you paint the picture. Now what can we do, right? We want to feel empowered. So this is now for us to know, to empower ourselves. So how can we avoid the influence of spirits who incite us to wrongdoing? Can we? And the answer is yes, we can. Good news. Why? Because they only attach themselves to those who solicit them with their desires or attract them with their thoughts. Aha, so now I need to see, what am I attracting? What is my vibration? Where am I? What is the level of thought I am living on? What is the pool of thought I'm swimming in? And these are my own, but they're also from what I allow into my house, into my car, into my work, and whatever else. But I can control it. So we're that far, that's good. So I can do something about it. Do spirits whose influence is repelled by an individual's will finally give up on their attempts? So if I employ my will through inner transformation, through becoming more aware of what I'm thinking and what's coming from the outside, that's the mechanism, that's the willpower, and the will is the master of our mind, then do spirits whose influence is repelled by individuals will finally give up on their attempts? Will they then go away, those spirits? Will my life change? And the answer is yes. What else can they do? When they have nothing to do, they leave. Nevertheless, they attentively watch for a favorable moment as the cat attentively watches the mouse. So we're never quite out of the thick. We need to be vigilant. And that's a 24/7 job till the day we discarnate, and then it continues. So it's from millennia. And hopefully this is the lifetime where we wake up to this mechanism more. We become more aware of it. The good news is, yes, the power lies within us, so we can do something about it. Now we go back to Genesis chapter 14, the fluids. There, Alan Kardec tells us that obsession and possession frequently involve individuals, but at times they're epidemic. So if we think, oh, it's just one-on-one, me and the spirits, that's bad enough. If it's, low-level spirits, no, it can be whole groups. He says, whenever a cloud of evil spirits descends upon a locality, it is as if a troop of enemy forces has come to invade it. In this case, the number of affected individuals may be considerable. Let's think back, Hitler, Germany. And of course, this is just one example, one tiny example, but isn't it happening right now maybe too? Are we immune towards this? It's a question. It's really for us, because this is then, and we look in the history and then we think, oh, this is all so much better and we're now further developed and this planet is becoming a planet of regeneration and we're out of the woods. Are we really? So now the next question is, how do we analyze our spirit messages in both realms that are coming from both realms? Right? So the thoughts, we know that we're continuously under the influence, but is it good or bad? So how do we analyze it? And there we go to the Medium's book. Medium's book, chapter 24, item 267, number 10. Allan Kardec says, good spirits never give orders. They do not wish to impose themselves, but only to provide counsel. Good spirits never give orders. If they're not listened to, they withdraw. Evil spirits are authoritarian. They give orders, want to be obeyed, and do not withdraw, no matter what. They're insistent. All spirits who impose themselves betray their status. All spirits who impose themselves betray their status. They are exclusivist and absolute in their opinions and pretend to be privileged with the truth. They're exclusivist and absolute in their opinions and pretend to be privileged with the truth. They demand blind trust and never appeal to reason, since they know that reason will unmask them. This, to me, is really a key section that Allan Kardec gifts us with. And why is it key? Because it will help us tremendously, instantly, to distinguish between good and evil thoughts. Do we have a persistent thought that's telling us, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then we're passing it on to others, do this, do this, do this? Do we? Is it coming from somewhere else? Continuously, you have to do this, you need to do this. We switch on the TV, the news, you got to do this, you got to do this. You open up the internet, you got to do this. This is the truth. This is the right path. We need to be aware of it, because the spirits are not just discarnated spirits who give us the information, they're also incarnated spirits. So how does the mechanism of protection works? So what can we do, right? This is the most important thing, because yes, we don't want to fall prey, and we don't want to be the one who sends out those fluids, right? So then we go to Genesis again, item 45. He talks about obsession. And of course, doesn't always have to be as bad as obsession, right? It could be much milder, right? So, but he says, obsession is always the result of a moral imperfection that allows entry to an evil spirit. And that's why we are so strong on our inner transformation, on studying, right? In Spiritism, we need to study and practice the good. We're so invited to that, because these moral imperfections that we all have here on planet Earth that open the doors. That's really the root cause. To guard oneself against obsession, one must strengthen the soul, nourishing our soul, right? We eat every day physical food, but what are we doing to nourish our soul? Hence the need of those who are the object of an obsession to work on their self-improvement, which is often enough to rid themselves of an obsessor without the help of outside persons. So here it is, right? We work on our inner transformation. We're reading edifying books, we're going to classes, we're listening to radio that's uplifting music, nature, and then we implement it. The two wings that Kiki always talks about, that Emmanuel talks about, the two wings to ascend to God, right? Is knowledge, studying, it's this part of the self-improvement, and the other one is love, then putting it into action. An evil fluid cannot be repelled by an evil fluid. So this is important law too. An evil fluid cannot be repelled by an evil fluid. It is necessary to expel the evil fluid with the aid of a better one. And how do we do that? Strengthening our soul, inner transformation, dedicating ourselves to the good, understanding the mechanisms. Furthermore, the invasion of deleterious fluids must therefore be opposed with good fluids. And since we all have in our own perispirit a permanent fluidic source, we have the remedy within us. Hallelujah, we got it. We have our perispirit, and if we boost our perispirit and purify ourselves through our inner transformational work, being aware of everything that Alan Kardec presented us with, including how much we're under the influence. We don't have to be. We can change it today, right now, because we have this perispirit. He says the perispirit is therefore the armor that must be given the best possible caliber. The qualities of the perispirit result from the qualities of the soul. It is necessary to work on improving it, because it is the soul's imperfections that attract evil spirits. There it is. The answer is right there. We have the armor in ourselves. It's our perispirit. It's our soul, really. It's nourishing our soul. So what is this recipe for success, according to Emmanuel? Chapter 9, suggestion. He says, if we help, we will be helped. If we hinder, we will be hindered through the different minds that work through us. By giving, we receive, he says. It's the law of cause and effect. We are responsible for our relationships with positive forces or with the forces of disorder and evil. And these relationships are all those minds that are controlling us and our mind controlling others. So by studying, understanding the teachings, the Beatitudes, Jesus, the gospel, everything that we have at our disposal in this lifetime, thank God, thanks to the merciful God, we have all of this at our disposal. Next lifetime might be very different, but now we have it. We can really understand ourselves better, because that's where it starts. Know thyself. That's the bottom line. And this whole talk is really supposed to help us to understand ourselves better, to get to know ourselves better, to be more aware of how these forces work through us continuously, and how we can turn it to the good, because we have the remedy within ourselves. Knowledge, love, doing the good. By giving, we receive, always doing the good. And of course, St. Francis, our beloved St. Francis of Assisi, expressed it in the peace of prayer. He said, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. I want to intercept for a moment. Where there is hatred, so we have our thoughts are in hatred. So how? Here is the perispirit, our armor. So we turn it around. We replace one thought with another. We can't replace hatred with hatred, as we learned through the fluids. We're using love. So how can I replace this fearful, hateful thought? I replace it with a loving thought. And sometimes it's harder, easier, more difficult. It's not as easy as I say it, but we need to be aware of the mechanism and know how we can do it. We can do it through music, through nature, through listening to Kardec video, to what we have on our YouTube channel, to going through the Spiritism, and to read a book. So many ways that we can, but we need to catch ourselves, right? So where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. So if we follow this recipe, which is another recipe for success, who are we attracting? Obviously, spirits on high. We're boosting our perispirit and warding off all the evil spirits in both realms. Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you, Sunshine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's beautiful to see all the resources that we have, right? I always remember that will is the strongest power and prayer is the strongest resource. And every time that we are under all of those suggestions, it's interesting because, as you said, not always we never know what is the source of the suggestion, right? But if we really, really, really apply the golden rule, like put ourselves in the other person's shoe, and that is hard to do, right? Like, because doing that means that we will feel the hurt and we don't want to feel that. And the other thing that I also think that makes us neglect being in the other person's shoe is because we tend to judge if that pain is bigger or lower than mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that person is complaining about that, but that person doesn't know about this, and that. So again, we are back on our shoes. So I think that it's really, really important that we all keep reflecting on the suggestions, also on the, as Divaldo Franco keeps saying, the psychosphere that we create for those suggestions to come, and then ensure that we are aligned with our higher self, so then we can hopefully be under the good suggestions, right? Thank you, sister.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone would like to make any questions, any comments, any additions?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, friend.
Well, Sunshine, I really appreciate the clarity and the conciseness of your presentation of such an encompassing and vital topic. Mind influence, my goodness. Especially because you open up with make sure that we understand that we're talking about controlling your mind, but also we face against mind controlling. And we're exposed to that all the time. You're right. So we have this continuous influence that is just amazing. And sometimes this influence can be predatory. It can be educational, it can be inspirational. However, the predatory is the one that we expose the most through all the vehicles that we have nowadays, like the media, right, the politics, and I really appreciate you making that comparison with what transpired in Germany back then. But we can see that models followed today, not just here, but in many other countries everywhere, especially for those that are in a position of power that wants to maintain themselves in power. So I really appreciate you clarifying and give us a glimpse of what is necessary for us to do to understand the difference. And that's a pathway that you laid out for us. I really appreciate that because, I mean, this got to go on YouTube, this presentation.
It is live.
It is.
I know, but it's got to stay there. We got to recommend it. That's
It
how our
is.
friends got to watch
You
it.
can, friends, you can just share all the videos that we have on BSH that are on YouTube. Everybody's allowed to get the link and share with their friends and family.
Maybe we
recently,
need a quick lesson on how to do that.
Yeah, recently we had that special, like it just came out about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. That's called The Social Dilemma. That is an expose. Is an expose of this instrument that is available to everybody and that we exposed to. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Very beautiful.
Okay, you're welcome, Charles.
Sunshine, I also appreciate and applaud all of your presentation today. And it is no surprise that the spirits are part of this in so many different ways. Last night, on a total spur of the moment, I watched Amazon Prime and picked a movie at random just because the title sounded interesting. And the title has nothing to do with what the movie is about. The title is called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. But the topic you just presented is what this movie is about. The bidirectional aspect of mental thought. And the purer the mental thought, the more attraction that is positive, and the more elements of outwardness that are positive take place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tip the hand for those of you who want to watch this movie. There's literally an international, worldwide effort now putting people together in groups, in circles, just as we do virtually on Monday nights, all with a common thought. They begin with a half hour of meditation. And what happens next? You have to see to believe. Okay? But I will tell you, as I was watching it last night, I saw an absolute direct correlation between Spiritism and what this movie is talking about.
It's wonderful to see that it's spreading, right?
Oh my gosh.
What is the name of the movie? I want to see it.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and I found it on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. That's interesting.
Oh my gosh. I'm still impacted. And now to get your presentation this morning, it's like, okay, this is all meant to be. It touches on what's the term? Duska's favorite topic. Oh, come on. Anyway, watch the movie.
Okay.
I'm so positively impacted right now. It's amazing.
Thank you, Mark. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Good. So while we all pay attention to our thoughts, let's give a 5 minutes break. Make sure that you get your bottle of water, write down the names of those who you wish to bring for our vibration, write down the paper or anything, and then we'll resume in 5 minutes. And Sunshine, God bless you very much, my dear. Thank you so much.
So Kiki, when is it coming on again?
Yes.
So
in 5 minutes.
No, when is it coming on, this presentation? I want to watch it again.
Oh, it's on our YouTube channel, BSH YouTube channel. I can send the link.
Okay, good. Thank you. Please.